We had a question about bar chords, so I thought it'd be great to take some lessons to focus just on bar chords. So today, we're going to be looking at our Form 1 major bar chord. A couple of things before we start playing that I want you all to check out. So, we've got our chord diagram right here, and I'll kind of keep that behind me. The root of our Form 1 major bar chord is on the low E string. Okay, so the root is on the low E string. What that means is, if you know your notes on your low E string already, it's going to make finding these chords that much easier. However, if you don't, it's okay. You'll get there with time, right? So just for a certain song you're working on, just take your time in finding them. So, and then eventually you might, you'll get faster. You'll be like, oh, B flat's right there, G is right there, C, D, right? You'll know where all those notes are on your low E. But that's your root of your chord. That's what gives your chord its name, right? Now, your bar chords, these are movable chords, but why is it a movable chord? Let's check that out. If I take and I cover up the top fret of this chord diagram, this should look pretty familiar because it makes our open E chord shape, right? So this chord actually comes from our open E chord shape. The first finger is essentially mimicking the open strings. I'll show you what I mean. There we are. So if I play my E chord down here, that's how I would normally play my E chord. If I change my fingers to free up my first finger, I'm now using my second finger on the G string, my third finger on the A string, and my pinky on the D string. It's still my E chord. If I pretended that my first string was playing these open strings instead, I now have made my Form 1 major bar chord shape. So when we slide this up the guitar, your first finger is essentially doing what your open strings were doing for your E chord, okay? So what's cool about that, right, is if I'm moving my shape up the guitar neck, there's an F chord, F sharp, G, A flat, and A, right, as we go along. So your first finger is essentially substituting your open strings, right? That's doing the job of the open strings for our E chord, but making this a movable chord. So with one chord shape, you now are able to play 12 different major chords on the guitar. And that's a huge deal. One chord shape got you 12 chords. Super cool. So let's try to play this shape. We're going to play this we're going to play an A major bar chord. So 5th fret area. Why 5th fret? Because that's the note A. That's our root of our chord. Okay, and you're going to be barring across. That's where we get our name for our bar chords, because your first finger is going to be barring across the strings to play these notes, right? Our low E, our B, and our high E string notes is all with our first finger for our bar chord. So 5th fret, what I want you to do is using the side of your finger, the hard part of your finger. We don't want to use the soft bottom part. We want to use the side. Okay, you're going to go ahead and play on the 5th fret with that side of your finger. So instead of having your finger flat like this, you're actually going to kind of tilt it, okay? And what helps get that tilt, sometimes, if you're having a hard time getting your finger to tilt that way, if you bring your elbow in or towards your guitar, it'll help you get a little bit more of that tilt, just a bit easier. That's the part that you want holding down those strings. So what I want you to do with your first finger on this, with the bar, is get sound out of your low E, your B, and your high E. So low E, your B string, and your high E string. Okay, so just try to do that with your first finger. We're not too worried about the middle notes for today because of the chord that we're playing. Those notes are not actually in the chord. We will need those notes later. But to start with bar chords, we're really just focusing on getting sound out of that low E, B, and high E for right now. Now we're going to add the rest of the notes, okay? So we've got our third finger is going to go on the 7th fret of the A string. Your pinky is going to go below that on the 7th fret of the D string. And your second finger is going on the 6th fret of the G string. Go ahead and give that a strum. Yeah. Now, if it didn't sound perfect right away, that's totally normal. Learning bar chords is a process and it takes patience, okay? So having patience is important with bar chords. And what you're going to want to do when you're working on these is just a little bit each day. Place those fingers one at a time. Have patience with it. Strum, and if you do that a little bit each day, you'll get there, all right? Now, for some people, though, bar chords come really easy. And then for some of us as well, you might play one chord really easily, and then you'll try to do another bar chord, and it might be harder. That's just how guitar works, right? Some things are easier for other people than others. So just have patience with this, right? It's a process. So let's go ahead and place our fingers for our A major bar chord again. So get that first finger placed. Make sure you got low E, B, high E. Place your third finger on the 7th fret of the A string, pinky below it. Now get your second finger on the 6th fret and give it a strum. Now for today, we're going to go between G and A, which just so happens to be the chords for Reelin' in the Years by Steely Dan as well. And I'm a big Steely Dan fan, so that's pretty cool. So you got your A string, you got your A chord. Now let's get our G chord happening. So we're going to take this shape. You're going to move this shape down 2 frets. Okay, you might have to replace your fingers on the strings. That's okay. Let's do that. So make sure you got your first finger, low E, B, high E. That's on the 3rd fret. It's on the 3rd fret because this is our note G. We want a G major chord. So our root has to be on G, which is on the 3rd fret of the low E string. Now place your 3rd finger on the 5th fret. Pinky is right below it. 2nd finger is going to go on fret number 4. Give that a strum. There's our G major chord. All right? Now go back to A. So you're going to go back up 2 frets with the same shape. Try to hold that shape there if you can. If you need to, though, place them one at a time. Okay, let's go back to G. Back to A. Okay, I'm going to get a strum pattern going between our G and our A chord. And what I want you to do is to try to join in with that strum pattern the best that you can. If moving between the chords between G and A is too much, just stay on A and just join us when we get to our A chord with strumming the A. So just go ahead, play A, maybe relax your hand a little bit, put the chord back down, join us when we're back up to A. So I'll start the pattern, join in whenever you're ready. So I'm going to start on G. G to A. So, a couple of key things to remember with bar chords. One, and most important, have patience. Just work on it a little bit each day, and then, go ahead and play your stuff that you play for fun, and then maybe come back to it for like 30 seconds or a minute, and then go back to playing some stuff for fun, right? You want to keep playing guitar fun for you, not a frustrating thing, right? So, just my 2 cents on it, at least. So, yeah, that's the idea, though. And when you're first learning them, until you really get that shape kind of memorized, just focus on, placing one finger at a time. Your first finger, followed by 3rd, pinky, and then 2nd. Right? And if you just do that a little bit each day, you'll get it. So hopefully this lesson has helped you understand your bar chords just a little bit more, especially your major bar chords, Form 1. And have fun with this, guys, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye.